I just took a shower because I was trying to wash the pain away from last night's game, but I don't think it worked. The story of last night's game is really just leaving Sean and I in the seventh inning. I mean, we were up 6-0 at that point, and I think this loss honestly goes on to Bob because he really screwed up leaving Minaya in because he was already at 102 pitches going into the seventh, and then when he got into trouble, I would have just yanked him right away, but he didn't, and then he gives up the double with two people on to score two. So that's turned two earned runs, and there's that run on second that he's responsible for. So then Tim Hill comes in, he gives up a double, so that's three earned runs for Minaya. We do nothing the next inning hitting wise, and then Luis Garcia comes in, and he's been pretty good as of late, and he just was all over the place, hitting people, walking people, nowhere near the strike zone. He allows one, and then he eventually gets into a bases-loaded jam, I think the same inning or an inning later. And then we put Taylor Rogers in the eighth because we have the most trust in him. And he gets the count to 0-2, and then he's got that wipeout slider, and there's always that risk of running it inside of the righty to hit them. And unfortunately, it happened to tie it up. And then the next play, this is what really angers me because it's a forced play. So we get a ground ball, we go home with it, and then you'd think that a major league player would realize that with the bases loaded, it's a force. You have to run no matter what, unless it's like a line drive you want to freeze or a fly ball in the air. On the ground, you definitely got to get going. And Walker literally just stays at first and doesn't even run to second. So this is the type of team that we're losing to. People that a player on their team in the major leagues doesn't think to run to second on a forced play with the bases loaded and nobody out. So we get the double play there. We get out of the inning. It's a tie game. We go to the ninth. Don't do anything offensively. No surprise. And then Taylor's already pretty tired. He threw a decent amount of pitches. So he gets two outs, and I think there was about 29 pitches. He gives up back-to-back singles, and Bob doesn't want to go to the bullpen, which is, I understand that because we have a lot of trust in Taylor Rogers. He's proven himself this year. And then there's a cue shot, and this is the story of Eric Hosmer, why I no longer have his signed jersey up there and I put Manny's up there. Because I'll show a picture right now, and Hosmer is too lazy to turn his body around because he's left-handed and throw to first. He goes to second. When Abrams is there, I mean, he dropped it, but I don't know if Marte would have been out anyways. But Marte didn't even slide because who would, I don't blame him. Who would think that you'd go to second for that? There's literally two outs. Why not just go to first, get the final out? I don't know if he forgot how many outs there were or if he just didn't think it was the right decision to go to first, but that was just atrocious. And yeah, that was the icing on the cake. Hosmer lost it there, but I think the big loss goes to Bob Melvin for leaving Minaya in, especially when he got into trouble in the seventh. And this sucks because the Dodgers lost the first two to the Rockies, so we would have really gained some ground, especially after losing 3 out of 4 to the Phillies. But we just seem to not beat bad teams, and that's just the story of last year and hopefully not this year. We've done pretty well against bad teams this year. But we just got to stop playing down to our competition because it's just frustrating at this point. Like Hosmer, there's no reason to go to second base there. And I just think we got to play better baseball, be less sloppy. Can keep putting pressure on, like a 6-run inning, we batted around. That's huge, but we got to keep putting pressure on throughout the game. And without the absence of Fernando and Manny, we're going to have Cronenworth just continue to step up, although he's in a slump. I think he's like 0 for his last 20 something. Voigt's been doing all right, but it's just tough. And Hosmer's got to rethink that because that cannot happen. We definitely had Walker at first. He doesn't run fast. The picture I showed proves it. And it ended up costing us the game, so it sucked.